Hey guys, Hitman89 here, I hope you're doing great. Last week we had an episode of Versus where we looked at Anatria the Last Song and Lies of P. Check it out if you missed it. And today we're gonna be looking at the best RPGs of 2024. Before we get started, if you want to save at least $15 on all your favorite games, then you should get them on Instant Gaming. This way, you won't have to wait 6 months for a sale, and you can get more games for less money. Instead of buying a game on Steam for $60, you could get Dragon's Dogma 2 and the Thaumaturge for only $40, and maybe also get 5 or 6 older games with the remaining $20. And this way, you end up with almost 10 games for the price of one. Think about it. By the way, Instant Gaming is 100% legit, so go ahead and use the link in the description to get your favorite games for super cheap. Now let's have a look at the first game on my list. A lot of people aren't happy with Dragon's Dogma 2, but I don't care what anyone says. I loved it. This is me, and this is my bald-ass companion. Together, we slayed tons of monsters, dragons, ogres, and big-ass cyclopes. I went with the fighter vocation cause I love me some melee action, and if you're not new to the channel, then you already know I always keep it 100. Even after all the updates, Dragon's Dogma 2 still runs like shit. Oh, and it still has plenty of bugs and some other technical issues too.
Is that all of them?
No, actually, the list goes on, but none of those issues prevented me from enjoying the game and beating it. You know, when a game is fun, it's much easier to overlook its flaws. You can combine items, upgrade your weapons and armors, and recruit some pawns, cause that's what the whole game is about. And the pawn system isn't bad at all. They'll spam the shit out of you with the same quotes, but at least they'll also guide you, fight alongside you, and even launch you in the air so you can either grab onto a giant monster or just reach a treasure chest. Dragon's Dogma 2 is my favorite game this year, but I think we can all agree it's been a mediocre year, so either get this game on sale if you can, or get it for only $25 using the link in the description. Alright, I'll stop. Banishers Ghosts of New Eden is a story-driven game where your choices actually matter. Visually speaking, it's pretty impressive, especially for a smaller game. The combat is serviceable, but tracking down ghosts, investigating locations, interrogating people, solving mysteries, and banishing ghosts doesn't get old. There is an important dilemma at the heart of the story, and in my opinion, this game is truly underrated. The lip sync job needed more work, but I say try out the demo and see if you like it. Keep in mind it's a tiny bit woke, especially the first 30 minutes, so if that's not your thing, then you might want to check out the third game on my list, cause it's not woke at all. Black Myth Wukong isn't really my cup of tea, cause I'm not into boss rush games and I don't like fighting with staffs, I prefer colossal swords. That being said, the opening section alone lets you know how good the game is. If you like this kind of stuff, this game is a must-have. Seriously, check out this awesome seamless transition. Little details like these show you how much the studio cares. Oh, and I was thinking, since on Black Myth Wukong you play as a monkey, this has to be Joe Rogan's new favorite game. That dude loves monkeys. Wait, what? He's in the game? In all seriousness, now, only get this game if you think you can handle it. Otherwise you'll get stuck too early and waste your money on a game you can't even play. Now, at number 4, we have a much easier game. Final Fantasy 16 just landed on PC, and even though the RPG elements are super shallow, this is my favorite Final Fantasy game out of all the ones with real-time combat. It's mature, and it kinda plays like Devil May Cry. Too bad you have to beat the game first to unlock hard mode, cause the normal difficulty is way too easy. Don't get me wrong, Final Fantasy 16 is still really enjoyable, with a lot of epic moments. I hope Xbox users also get a port soon so everyone can play this. Now if you're not into only controlling one character and you have a PS5, then you should probably get Final Fantasy VII Rebirth instead. This is a direct sequel to the remake we had 4 years ago, and it's alright if you don't feel like playing that one first. There's a story recap that you can access from the main menu, so you can jump straight into Rebirth. The combat has been slightly improved and there are way more open areas to explore now. Riding chocobos is fun and the minigames are real good. I'd be lying if I said I didn't enjoy some of those more than the actual game. The next game on my list is also full of mini-games. Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth is pretty much Yakuza Like a Dragon, but in Hawaii. It's the same fucking game, and I can already hear the Yakuza fans going, "Eat shit!" All jokes aside, the change of location is such a breath of fresh air. The game is still hilarious, your weapons and skills are based on your job, and if you played the Yakuza game before, then you know for every 2 minutes of gameplay you're gonna get 69 minutes of cutscenes. Next, we have No Rest for the Wicked. The guys behind the Ori games decided to make an ARPG with Souls-like combat and some survival elements. The mix is interesting, to say the least. The art style is awesome, but you'll need a decent PC to play this properly. Sometimes it feels like the game doesn't know what it wants to be, but it's really fun, especially when you're done struggling and finally got yourself some decent armor and a good weapon. Anyway, let's move on to the 8th game. If you've never played a mana game before, it's similar to Dragon Quest in the art style, but with a real-time combat system. If, like me, you're an old fuck who grew up playing this kind of stuff, or maybe if you want to introduce your kid to a JRPG, definitely consider picking this one up. Plus there is a demo available on all platforms. Speaking of all platforms, at the moment of making this video, the Thaumaturge is still a PC exclusive, but according to the devs, the console version should be coming soon. There are only a couple of months left in 2024, so guys, anytime now. The Thaumaturge is an underrated game with an intriguing world and some sort of The Witcher vibes, which makes sense when you think about it, cause this is made by the same studio that's working on The Witcher remake. Anyway, you have to examine your environment, look for clues, investigate, talk to people, and use the demons or saluters you tame to manipulate people and get what you want. Last but certainly not least, we have Last Epoch, which is definitely more challenging and more fun than Diablo 4. It's not perfect by any means, but at least the gameplay is solid and you can play this offline or in online co-op. Another cool thing you can do is respec your character at any given moment, so you can try out different builds. Just like the Thaumaturge, I hope Last Epoch gets a console release soon so more people get to play it. And that's gonna be it for the best RPGs of 2024. But before you click away, here are a couple more games that didn't make the list but that you still might wanna play. Rise of the Ronin looks like a PS3 game, and I had an error that prevented me from loading my save, so I can't have it on my list. But if you like challenge and open world games where parrying is super important, why not? Speaking of parrying, Inatria The Last Song would have been much better if they released it in 2025, but even in its current state, it's a decent Souls-like, it looks great, and I found it enjoyable. Granblue Fantasy Relink is another game worth trying out, except this is a linear JRPG with a dynamic, action-packed combat system. Keep in mind you can only replay side missions and boss fights in co-op, so if you're planning on doing the whole game in co-op with a friend, you'll be disappointed. And that's it. I did my best to include a couple of underrated games as well, so I really hope you found at least a couple of RPGs that will keep you entertained for a while. If that's the case, a thumbs up and a subscription would really help me out a lot. Oh, and don't forget to use the link in the description to save tons of money on your favorite games. It would also help the channel out tremendously. It's been Hitman89, have a good one.
You got this, you gotta want it. Life ain't fair. Are you gonna win or will you play scared? I will not stop, I am prepared to get to the top, yeah, you must be rare. Got 'em like, hey